Here I am again with Demon Legend in my garage. So I'm next to my buddy now. What I want to do is create a base, create a ground in which he'll be standing, because it's wonderful to have this prop. But then again, you want to build a whole scene with him. Let me start by providing a list of items that I use to create this project. Of course, you're going to make it your own, so you're going to adjust it according to your own specific needs, but here it is. I use those 2 styrofoam boards that came with a coffee table that I received, but you can buy the cheapest styrofoam board you can find at your local hardware store for as long as it's about 1.5 inches thick for stability. I personally used obviously the Demon Legend, which inspired me to do this fire pit, but you can create a fire pit for your witch, for a cauldron, whatever you have. The 2 skulls that I created are lit from underneath by 2 of those LED flame bulbs. And then those 2 bulbs, actually I used 4 of those bulbs for additional effect on my display, which you'll see later on in the tutorial. And then I used those string lights. I had to buy 2 because I wanted to create the project in 2 separate pieces that could be easily stored in the future. And this is where it really gets relatively expensive. It's foam insulation in a can. This one was about $13 a can, and I think I used 5 or 6 of those cans. This is the smoke machine that I've used. Of course, I'm providing help in order to make it as inexpensive as possible. But one thing to consider with a smoke machine is the quantity of fog liquid that it can hold, because I burnt through a fog machine one Halloween with my witch cauldron because there was no more liquid after an hour, and I completely forgot about it, and I forgot to refill it. So that's one thing to consider when choosing a smoke machine. But this one does the work, it's got a remote, and it's pretty efficient. So I used the skull that I already had, but you can buy a less detailed skull at your local dollar store, on which you will put layers of Kleenexes dipped in latex liquid. The latex liquid is available anywhere, either Amazon or preferably your local craft store. And you don't need to go into crazy detail. That's why I'm quite a bit sloppy, because I know that it will be on the ground, people will be passing by next to it. So what's the use of making it super detailed? But it all depends on your creativity and on your personality, or on the outcome that you're looking for. But my outcome did not require a high detail, and quite frankly, give the latex and the Kleenexes a little bit of credit. It's really going to work for you, because it's going to really make a spooky result with less than zero skilled required. The only thing is I keep going at it. It gets super messy, but it's fun. I had a blast doing it. You put a little bit music on, and if you're an adult, maybe a little glass of wine close by, and you'll just have a blast doing this. It's really a lot of fun. Brings you back to your younger years when you used to do papier mâché. I added those acrylic eyes. I did order this from Amazon, but I couldn't find the product. I think the product is no longer available, but it really doesn't matter. Just, again, get the cheapest eyeballs that you can find, or make your own with a little bit of styrofoam or a ping pong ball, whatever you want. I just had those from a previous project, which was left, so that's what I've used. And, as your latex dries up, it's really a lot of fun to use those pieces and get creative with them, because latex sticks to latex. For that skull, the mouth was wide open and I did not put pieces of latex inside of the mouth. So I had to cover up the light bulb with latex, glued the pieces together so that from the outside you see the flesh lighting up and it creates the illusion that you want. When you start pulling out the latex, very important to use talcum powder because, again, latex sticks to latex and you're not going to be able to pull it apart. So the powder creates some kind of a shield or some kind of a separation between the pieces of latex. So once you do that, just like when you make a latex mask, the professional, that's what they do, is that they use talcum powder to make sure that the latex doesn't stick to itself. If you've put enough layers, like a relatively thick layer of Kleenexes mixed with latex liquid, you'll be able to pull it out without damaging it. And the bulb has a few settings where it's going to be shining in and out like this. So, and now the next mode should be the flame. So that's how it's going to look like with the bulb insert. So that's pretty cool. Look at that. Once painted, it's going to be awesome. So that's going to be my base. You see there's different pieces of styrofoam. I'm just going to put that together with duct tape. It doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to see it because it's going to be covered in insulating foam and lights. But what's really important for me for storage is that it comes in two separate pieces like this. So you see that piece? You're able to cut it so that it fits on this side. So for easy storage. So I'm going to be spreading. Oh, this is not a tube. It's something to hide the wire in. Oh, that means I'm going to need to tape it up and then make holes. This is just something to hide the wires. It's too late to send it back. Oh, shoot. So the idea is that I'm going to connect this to a smoke machine so that the smoke can come out all over the fire and hidden by the insulating foam, and my machine is going to be hidden in the back. So this way the smoke is going to come out of the holes that I'm going to poke through. So that's the idea. I used a heat gun to solidify the sides of the styrofoam panels. Otherwise it keeps flaking off. It also puts it into shape and rounds up the sides and edges. The next step for me is to test out the tubing. Okay, so I've started my fog machine. And the fog machine has a little adapter that is a little hard to find, but it holds the tubing right in front of the nozzle. But there is a space in between them, and that space is really important. Almost like a vacuum or something that helps the smoke to get inside the tubing. I'm going to start now by making a first hole here. And it's the first time trying it live. Now the light seems to be indicating to me that it's ready. Oh. Okay. So I really need to duct tape the hell out of this tubing. Again, the issue is because I bought a split loom wire flexible tubing conduit hose
that is the description on Amazon. So if you want to avoid all of these issues, just get a very long uniform tubing and you'll be all set. After duct taping the heck out of it, now it seems relatively ready to move on to the next step.
Okay, so now I'm trying to figure out the layout of the lights.
I'm covering now the holes that I did with the drill with little pieces of wood because I'll be applying the foam insulation on top of it and I don't want the foam to cover those holes.
So I have those little holes, the little pegs that are hiding the holes from which the smoke will come out of. I love taking my time when making these projects. And I was thinking, okay, what do I do about these light bulbs that are unreliable? And if I want to change them? So I thought of this. Instead of placing them on top like this, which will require a lot more foam because just this part here is 1 inch tall, I will redo the whole lighting, which is okay, and place the bulbs from underneath. Then what you do is that if there's a need to replace the bulb, you'll just pull it from underneath, like so. This way, you're able to change a light bulb whenever they die on you. But you might ask, isn't the light bulb going, the foam going to stick on the bulb itself? Yes, unless you put saran wrap over each bulb before you apply the foam. This way I'll be able to pull these out, the sockets from underneath, because the wiring will be underneath everything. And by pulling it out, and wrapping, or maybe just individually wrap each bulb with saran wrap, the foam will not stick to the bulb. So I'll just be able to pull it out, unscrew it, replace the bulb, and push it back in. Okay, so I drilled all the holes. I pushed them out a bit. So that's more like it. You see, this is the underneath, and this is the top. And my plug is here, so that it could be plugged into here. So I decided to, maybe a couple of hours after doing this, I decided to do the same thing with this part on the same day, almost in the same evening. So put the wiring underneath it rather than above it. And as you can see, this is why this could be useful, because you have some bulbs that need maybe just a little kick in the ass, and you can't do that if the wiring is on top of the styrofoam, in between the styrofoam and the insulating foam. I did put a bulb with each hole that I drilled for the smoke or the fog to come out of. So this way it seems that the fog comes out, or smoke comes out where there's a flame. What I've done here is the wiring for the flame bulbs. And what I did was I marked the wiring as to where I wanted the bulbs to be. And I've connected, I think it's what is called a serial fashion. And as you can see, there is I put a plug in between in order, again, it's for storage. So my last bulb on this side will be here, and then there's the connector here, and then the connector for this section. Made it too loose. Let's see. They're all working, except this one. Pretty cool effect, eh? So here's the first one that I did. And the second one.
As you can tell by now, you have to be really patient with those projects. It's always trial and error and trying to figure out, how to do things better. That's why you can't really rush those things. You have to you have to let it go, leave it aside, do something else, wait for the next day, and think of, in the background of your mind, on how you can improve or make things better before you commit to a final decision. And definitely putting saran wrap on top of each bulb is a long process, but quite frankly, it will save the day on many occasions when I need to replace the bulbs. Obviously, I didn't do the same process with the string lights. I had those already, so I didn't mind committing to applying the insulating foam right on top of them. And if you can, I really recommend that you add it to your project, because it does make a nice subtle effect. And also, one important advice is to have all the connectors all on the same side of the fog machine, so it could be easy access in case of troubleshooting. And that side is obviously on the opposite side from where the people will be passing, looking at the Demon Legend and the fire pit.
Okay, now I think I'm just about ready to put the insulating foam on.
Which I did the following morning. It was enough for one day. Here I am using an old can by pressing directly on the nozzle. Important. I can't emphasize this enough. Make sure that you wear latex gloves or nitrile gloves with the while applying the foam, because it will stick to your skin for days. So you'll be very sorry if you don't use gloves.
Oh boy. July, August, September, October, 4 months to Halloween. Once it's all dried up, I'm going to make sure that the stand fits well. So I'm gonna have to cut some of it, but I'll do that only tomorrow, because this is still going to dry up and expand. Okay, I'm using the cheapest color that I can find, and my first layer is black paint, and I'm being careful, kind of aiming it a little bit, and whenever I cover completely a light bulb, then I have a rag to just wipe off the excess. You can have a little paint thinner on that rag if you want. as I close the garage door. Now you get more of an opportunity to see how it looks like. As you know, these two heads will be on the base of my display, located right here. Now, I don't want those heads to be permanently attached to this because they might get ruined, damaged, and so on. So I want to make sure that I'm be able to remove them, but at the same time, I wanted them to be surrounded by a little bit of layer of foam, even a layer of foam that crawls to their head, almost like lava or veins that crawls onto their head. But it'd be fun if I could just put this and just lay it flat so it could hold with the foam without being permanently attached to it. And I've put on my Lazy Susan a piece of plastic so that the foam, once dried, can be easily removed. I've decided to use just regular craft acrylic black paint mixed with alcohol, isopropyl alcohol that you can find in your local pharmacy. And I use just a small sponge like this. And I would say it's almost half and half, or maybe just a little bit more alcohol than paint here in this container. And what I did was essentially dab the alcohol like this all over my mask, but I don't let it sit there. I absorb the alcohol, so that essentially the alcohol just stays in the nooks and crannies of the skull, because I still want this to look like skin, because I have the light underneath it to light it up. So I don't want it to be completely dark. I want it to shine, but at the same time, it's just going to bring, I think, another level of realism. And then I use the same paint, kind of dig in to catch the latex paint, and a really, really cheap brush to paint this all black. I think I've got too much alcohol. I could just put this directly, use the paint directly on a sheet of paper and just paint directly from there. But it's just that I like the liquidity of it because it gets everywhere. You always think, oh, this is gonna be so long to doing it by a small paintbrush. It's not, it's fun. Take your time. And I'm talking for myself here. Take your head away from your iPad and the news and CNN and Fox News and all that crap, and just make your own happy moment. Okay, so that's a first pass, I would say. Not quite perfect, but it's okay. Just want to take a look at it to show you guys. So this first mask that I did, or this first skull that I did, has an open mouth with no latex inside, so that's why I covered the light here with latex. So it feels like it's part of the head. So that's the effect. And this is the other one that will be going here. Not bad, eh? The paint is still shiny, it's not flat yet, it hasn't dried up. So I can move it around, place it as I wish. The final, well, it's never going to be the final details. There's always going to be something else to add. But since I have some, I don't know, weird things that I did with the insulating foam, I figured I might as well paint them as if it's like bloody veins or guts. And just a few of them. I'll leave maybe some of them black. But I find it gives it a fun little added detail. Okay, so I do plan to add more to the fire pit, a little bit finer detail, but I think for the sake of the tutorial, that is enough. Thank you for sticking through the entire video. If you like the content, it really makes a big difference if you can press on the like button and subscribe for more content coming up, because there's still 4 months until Halloween, so there's still enough time to maybe tackle on another project or two. And now I will give the opportunity to see this in action. It's still a beautiful day outside, but by closing the garage door, you'll get to see the work in action.